What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Read Step. I am your host, Isaiah Ruiz, and once again, thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry, it's been a little bit of a up and down as far as when I'm posting these, and it's been scattered all over the place. But I'm gonna go ahead and try and be consistent. Today, we have quite a packed show for you guys, and I figured some technical parts out from behind the scenes, so I'll be able to make some of these episodes a little bit longer. I'm gonna try to keep them short, but I have a lot more time to work with. So today we're gonna talk about the NFL playoff picture. I got the bracket right in front of me. We're gonna talk about some of these individual matchups ahead of wild card weekend, and then we're gonna talk about one of the hottest topics going on in sports media. And for those of you who don't know, it's the big FS1, basically the FS1 lawsuit, not against FS1 specifically, but certain people from FS1. And I feel like as somebody who has worked in sports media in one of the top markets in the country, somebody who is in the media now, and I just feel like it's important to talk about, especially for a lot of my friends out there who are women and who do love sports and are also in sports media, but also for all of my men out there as well. We're gonna get into that a little bit later. So, but first things first, we're gonna talk about the NFL. And for starters, let's just jump right into it. We're gonna go ahead and talk. I got the Chargers versus the Houston Texans. This is gonna be a good game. I feel like this is gonna be a good game. It's a pretty good matchup. I think the Chargers really like this matchup right here. Going against Houston right now. Houston is very injured. Obviously losing Stephon Diggs and unfortunately Tank Dell going down with the horrific knee injury. And Houston doesn't look as formidable as they did before. They won a division that was not the greatest. Meanwhile, you got the LA Chargers, who have really started to come into their own as the season started to progress and go on. So they're one of the hot teams right now, I feel like, in the NFL, and rightfully so. Coach Jim Harbaugh does a great job coaching his guys up. They're very physical. And this is going to be one heck of a matchup. You got Justin Herbert versus CJ Stroud. Justin Herbert, by the way, I feel like has kind of gone under the radar, and it happens a lot. We see this happen a lot, where you got a lot of guys who, just because their team success doesn't really show over a couple of seasons, all of a sudden, they're not talked about as much. Maybe they're looked at a little bit differently. Justin Herbert is still a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and he is still Justin Herbert. You got two guys. You got Slater, and you have who's the kid that they just drafted first round. I usually, for whatever reason, I just can't think of it right now. Chargers first round pick 2024. I know it's a tackle. Joe Alt, yes. So you got those two outside pieces right there for pretty much going to be a very long time in his career. And he's going to be set. He's going to do just fine. He's going to be set. He's going to do just fine. You got J.K. Dobbins that is back. Hopefully he can start producing again like he once did before he got injured and before he came back. You have McConkey, breakout wide receiver for his rookie year with the Chargers, clearly the best receiver that they have coming out of Georgia. And meanwhile, on the other side with the Texans, again, I do think. Actually, no, I mean Jim Harbaugh is the better coach, but I think DeMeco Ryans is one of the really up and coming best coaches in the NFL. I love the way he's built the defense. I love the way that he's built even his offense. I mean, without all the injuries, it's a pretty good offensive team, and they're a pretty damn good team as well. Going into this game, it's just unfortunately they suffered some injuries, and it's led them to where they are now. If I had to pick between the Chargers and the Houston Texans going into this weekend, I'm going to go with the Chargers. I'm not going to lie. I think the Chargers are just rolling right now. They got a better team. They're healthier. And they just have better weapons overall, in my opinion. So I'll probably take the Chargers right now over the Houston Texans. If I had to pick a score, man, I would say Chargers probably win it 24. We'll say 24-21 Chargers. It's a close game. I get it. It's a close game, but it's the NFL. You never know. And a lot of these teams, even if they are, it's playoff time. It's wild card weekend. You're going to get the best of all these teams. I say Chargers win 24-21 over the Houston Texans, and they go on to play KC in an AFC West divisional round rivalry matchup. That's going to be fun to watch. Now, coming down to my Steelers and my Baltimore Ravens. Now, how this is set up, I could be wrong actually. I believe if the Chargers win, they might go and play the Chiefs. I think it's between whoever wins between the Steelers and the Ravens. That all kind of shakes out. So I kind of have to figure that out. So I apologize for that. But just getting to the game itself between the Ravens and the Steelers. As a Steelers fan, I'm glad I get to talk about my Steelers. I don't think I've really had a chance to talk about my Steelers quite yet. Not that the games haven't been played, they have, but I just, again, life and everything's just been so busy. But I don't know how I feel about this game against the Ravens. The Ravens are a team that we have beaten a lot over the past 3 to 4 years. They just got their second win over the Steelers, and I think like 2 or 3 seasons. So they're probably feeling good about themselves. They're playing some of their best football, some of the best football in general as well in the NFL going into this game, and I think they could beat us. We're going into Baltimore. Now, the one thing about this game, I will say this, on top of the fact that it is a rivalry game, you never know what's going to happen. I think it's a 50-50. One of the two. I don't know. I think this is going to be another good game. I hope it's a good game, and I hope my Steelers win. I don't want to pick my Steelers because I don't want to jinx my team, but I hope that the Steelers win. And I think they have the team to do it. It's just they got to minimize those. They have to minimize those turnovers. You look at the game against the Philadelphia Eagles. When we went to Philadelphia, and really the game-changing play was that Najee Harris fumble. I mean, that fumble really killed it for us. It was just that was pretty much it. I mean, it was done, and that really, as we were driving, looking to score, you had us possibly we taken the lead and potentially changing the momentum of that game, and who knows what would have happened after that. But I thought we played pretty good against the Eagles, but that fumble killed us. You look at the game against the Baltimore Ravens, that fumble against as Russell Wilson was running into the end zone, that big hit that the safety laid on him, causing him to fumble the ball. That was the killer. That was pretty much the game right there. You look at some of these. You look at the games against the Cincinnati Bengals as a relatively close game. You had another pick. It's just turnovers have just been absolutely killer for this organization this whole entire season, and I hate it because we were on a stretch where we were, I believe at one point we might have been like 9-3 or 10-3, 10-4. We were looking good. We're looking really good, locking up that potentially number 2 spot, maybe. For sure, we went from for sure solidifying the number 3 seed in the AFC to the number 6 seed. And having the number 3 seed, we would have had the first home playoff game, the first one we had in a long time, and now we're going to be on the road in Baltimore. And I just don't. I almost damn near feel defeated as a Steeler fan, to be quite honest with you. Even though we've had the number, it just kind of feels like the Ravens are probably going to win this game. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be objective here. I'm not going to be completely biased. I do hope we win, but I just feel like the Ravens right now are cooking. Lamar Jackson is doing his things, probably going to win another MVP. And they're just rolling right now. And the crazy part is the Ravens don't even really have that crazy, of talent. Like, Zay Flowers is good, but he's not a George Pickens, and he doesn't have the potential of George Pickens, in my opinion. Nobody's touching Derrick Henry, obviously, but you look at some of the other pieces, I think we have better overall players and better pieces around our quarterback and our offense in general. And I just feel like, for whatever it is, I think it has a little bit to do with the coaching. Our offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, he's got to go. I'm sorry, but our offense is too predictable. I think Mike Tomlin, if he loses this game, people are going to look at him, and rightfully so, because this is now, I don't know how many years in a row, losing in the first round of the playoffs, and this is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The standard is the standard. He said that himself, and he just hasn't been coaching up to the standard of what the Pittsburgh Steelers are supposed to be playing at. And, we have NFL starting caliber quarterbacks now. We don't have a Kenny Pickett. We don't have the Mason Rudolph. We don't have the Mitchell Trubisky, or Mitchell Trubisky, as I like to call him, because he's absolute trash, and I hated it when he was on the team. So theoretically, we should win this game. We should be the 3rd seed, but the fact of the matter is we're not. And the fact of the matter is nothing is guaranteed, especially going into this game against one of the hottest teams in the NFL, against arguably the best player in the NFL, in Lamar Jackson. So we'll see what happens. Both teams are going to be physical on the defensive side of the ball. We all know that. Both teams are going to be extremely physical, great defenses on both sides of the ball, whether it be Hamilton, Minka Fitzpatrick, T.J. Watt, Roquan Smith. You got Patrick Queen, former Raven. You got ballers on all different sides of the field when it comes to the defense. So That's always the exciting part. Always seeing the physicality, the shit talking, the all up in their face, the tackling to the echo of the whistle. Um, so it should be a good game, and I hope my Steelers can pull it out. I hope they can get the win, and let's just, I mean, again, hope for the best. Hope for the best. If you're a Steeler fan, hope for the best. Um, Going on to the next game in the AFC is the Denver Broncos versus the Buffalo Bills. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Now, do I think that the Buffalo Bills are going to win? Yes. Do I think that they could win by a lot? Yes. I think the Buffalo Bills are clicking on all cylinders, offensively, defensively. They're perfectly in tune right now. Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen, actually the other arguably best player in the entire football league. It's really between him and Lamar Jackson for MVP. You have him coming into this game as the number 2 seed. He's going to be very confident, as he should be. The offense in general, whether it be the tight ends, the receivers, the running backs, everybody gets to touch the ball a little bit. You remove Stephon Diggs out of that offense. You put everybody in. Everybody gets a little bit of a piece of the pie. Nobody. I hate to say it, I've always been for receivers. I love receivers, but you kind of get that diva mentality out of the locker room, out of the wide receiver room. Nobody's going to complain about not getting the ball, and it's really shown. There's plays where sometimes, Shakir gets the ball. There'll be times where maybe Knox or who's that other tight end? I forgot his name. Or Cook sometimes is cooking on the ground, quite literally. And then I keep saying Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen does this thing and he goes and he takes it himself. He'll throw for I don't know how many yards he could throw for 200 while also rushing for 200 and have like 5 total touchdowns. It is insane. He is having an unbelievable year. And as somebody who hates the Buffalo Bills, I can't even lie. They look a little bit different than they have in the past. So, but I will say the Denver Broncos, I hope nobody sleeps on the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are, in my opinion right now, one of the top, if not the top defense in the league. They got some great players. They got a defensive player of the year candidate and PS2, one of my favorite players in the National Football League. And, I believe his first name Nick, but last name Benito, the linebacker for the Denver Broncos. Breakout year, having a great year, a career year. He's doing amazing things on the defensive side of the ball. And, Bo Nix is going to do his thing, but I just feel like Bo Nix might be prone to some turnovers this week against the Buffalo Bills. And, while it is definitely possible that the Denver Broncos can go into Buffalo and win. I don't see it happening. I got the Bills winning, and quite honestly, by quite a big margin. You got Bo Nix as a rookie quarterback, as great as he's done all year. Kind of going to be a reality check for him, and I think the Bills are going to win soundedly. I say 31-14. That's a crazy margin, but I have that big of a margin of the Bills winning. I just think they're that good. Going back to the Ravens Steelers, I do have the Ravens winning something 17-14. It's always a pretty close game, so I would say 17-14, and they win like off a field goal at some point. Winner though, whoever does play the Chiefs, again, I'm not exactly sure if it's between the Ravens and Steelers that go and play them, or the Chargers and the Texans, but I'm pretty sure it's the Chargers Texans. As far as the Chiefs, they're not playing anybody yet, so I'm not going to really talk about them. But I will say this: until the Chiefs actually get beat, I'm going to take the Chiefs the whole entire way. Moving on to the NFC, you got the Minnesota Vikings, who the score didn't say that they were close to getting the number 1 seed, but they were. At one point they kind of were. But you got the Minnesota Vikings taking on the LA Rams. I will say this: for the people out there that are thinking that the Rams are going to win this game, I understand why. You got the Rams, again, similarly to the Chargers, ironically, both LA teams. You got the Rams really started to develop and started to really get back into the groove of things in the second half of the season. They started off the season, I believe, 1-4, and they just ended it. I think 11-5 or 11-6, or they won 10 games, but they came back and they definitely made this push to win the NFC West. They're the number 4 seed. They get to host the game. So Minnesota's going to SoFi. I think that's going to be a great game. That should be an exciting game also. I think it's going to be both high scoring, both quarterbacks really good this year. You got their weapons fully at the arsenal with obviously Jay Jettas. You got Jordan Addison. On the other side, you got Puka Nacua. Cooper Kupp. This is going to be a hell of a show. I think this is going to be an offensive showing, an offensive matchup, and it's going to go back and forth. I'm really excited about this game. I think between both defenses, I think the Vikings have I think the Vikings have a better defense, but this should be a good game. Now, I will say that while I do think, my heart of hearts, I do think that the Vikings are going to win this game in a relatively close one because I think it's going to be a shootout. Um, I would not be surprised if the Rams go in, defend home turf, and beat the Minnesota Vikings and end up playing potentially the Lions again in the playoffs for the third year in a row. Um, or no, sorry, the second year in a row. I think that's going to be a hell of a matchup. Both of these games, or if the Vikings win, Vikings Lions again. I mean, come on, dude. Like that's some beautiful script writing right there. So that type of script writing right there, you don't find in Hollywood movies. I think either one of these two teams going on to play the Lions going to make for some great games in the playoffs. But this first round of the wild card between the Vikings and the LA Rams, I'm circling to watch that game, and I'm excited to watch it. So we'll see how they do. But I got the Vikings winning that one, and I got them winning. Once again, feel like it's going to be a shootout. I feel like it could be like I'll say the Vikings win 31-34. I think there's going to be a lot of touchdowns thrown. I think the receivers are going to go off between those main four: Nakua, Cooper, Jettas, and Jordan Addison. A couple of former USC guys, by the way. Addison, Sam Darnold coming back to LA should be a good game. It should be, So got to root for our Trojans over here. So, but yeah, should be a great game. That's gonna be my favorite game, one of my favorite games to watch. My second favorite game to watch after my Steelers. Going on to the Commanders versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We got Mike Evans versus Lattimore once again. This is a redoing a rivalry from the Saints versus Buccaneers. I'm excited for this game. Now, man, I don't be surprised if Washington wins. I'm gonna take the Bucs in this game because I just think they got more experienced players. They have a more experienced quarterback, obviously. Both guys had a tremendous year. I think you could still give the edge to Baker as far as a better quarterback going into the playoffs, but it ain't that deep of a. The margins are pretty wide. I mean, the margins are not wide. Excuse me. Jaden Daniels is turned into one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in his rookie year. Gonna win Rookie of the Year. Gonna win offense. Probably might also win Offensive Rookie of the Year, but they typically don't. They give it to somebody else typically, but. Jaden Daniels is the real deal. I wouldn't be surprised if they go into Tampa Bay and they go in and beat the Bucs. But at the end of the day, the Bucs, they do have Baker Mayfield, like I said. They got Mike Evans. They got some nice pieces. They got Bucky Irving, and they got between the two, it's a little tough as far as defensively wise. I think it could go either way, but. If I had to pick a team out of these two to win, again, I'm going with the Bucs. I would go if this is a game where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win, I think it'll come down to Jaden Daniels making a couple mistakes. A lot of rookies, no matter how good they do during the regular season, for whatever reason, they end up if they get to the playoffs, they end up making a couple mistakes, and I get it. It's the first playoff game. It's a big game. And, so rookies might be prone to that, but I don't know. There's something about the Commanders this year that got me feeling like they could win at least one playoff game. And I really think they could. And I think it's going to be against the Buccaneers if they do. But I'm going to stick with the Bucs on this one. I'm going to play it a little safe. I got the Bucs winning, we'll say 21-28. I can see the Bucs scoring about 4 touchdowns. Mike Evans doing his thing. Baker Mayfield doing his thing. They won a playoff game last year against the Philadelphia Eagles. They can probably do it again this year against the Washington Commanders, another NFC East team. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but that should be a pretty good game in itself. Now the Green Bay Packers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. This I hope is a good game, and it should be a good game. You got Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts. You got. I want to get his name right. I know his last name is Reed. Is it Jordan Reed? Yeah, I figured that was the tight end for the Washington Redskins from a long time ago. Jaden Reed. I'm sorry, Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed on the offensive side of the ball for the Packers. Romeo Doubs, but the Eagles. I mean, come on, dude. Like Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. My opinion should have been the rightful MVP to be talked about. Saquon Barkley, becoming the 9th 2,000-yard rusher in NFL history. That's not even including some of the defensive guys that they have on the defensive side of the ball, especially that front seven. Um, for me, while I do hope and wish that this was a pretty good game, I don't think it's gonna be that good of a game. I actually think the Eagles are probably gonna blow these dudes out. I think it'll be something more of like a. I could be wrong, but I think it's gonna be more something more of a 14-31 game. I just feel like the Eagles are a little bit on a little bit on a revenge tour themselves. You know, after last year, how the year ended, how the year went, especially in the playoffs, getting bounced in the first round by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't see them, coming back in here being very. No, like they seem like they're on a mission. Saquon's on a mission ever since getting released by the Giants or getting traded, excuse me, or no, I think he did get released. I think he did. Saquon's on a mission. AJ Brown didn't have a very good year. You know he's going to be on a mission. Same thing with Jalen Hurts and this entire team. It has a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and that's typically when they play their best. You look at the time when they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. They had that underdog mentality, obviously with the masks and everything. They had a chip on their shoulder when they went to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. That team also had a chip on their shoulder. This team is, I mean, just they're ready. They're destined, and they're ready to really go on a huge playoff run and meet up with either the Vikings, Rams, or the Lions in an NFC title game with a chance to get back to the Super Bowl. So I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna just go out and whoop everybody until the NFC title game. To be completely honest with you, and that includes the Green Bay Packers. I love Jordan Love, no pun intended. I think he's a great. I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's a great player. I don't know. There's something about maybe they need to get him some extra type of help somewhere, but I just don't see anything really much going on for the Packers in this round. I think it was an unfortunate matchup for them to be having played the Philadelphia Eagles in the first round. I mean, you haven't played against the rival, the Minnesota Vikings, or the LA Rams, or the Commanders, or the Bucks. They have a great shot at beating any of those teams, in my opinion. However, to play the Eagles, and again, it's a little rough. And that NFC North division was the best division in football, obviously. You got 1, 2, 3 teams from the NFC North making the playoffs this year. So, we'll see how that game goes. But again, I got the Eagles winning 31-14. I think Saquon's going off. I think AJ Brown is going to find even more of a footing in the playoffs. I think they're going to get into a groove again. Him, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith. But Saquon's going to do Saquon things. I think he's going to dominate these NFL playoffs. I think we're going to see it week 1. Wild card weekend against the Green Bay Packers. So that's what I have for you. I've got in the imaginary bracket after the wild card weekend. I got Vikings versus Lions once again. I got the Buccaneers versus the Philadelphia Eagles in a wild card rematch of last year's playoffs. I got the Chargers taking on the Chiefs in an AFC West rivalry matchup. I got, hopefully, fingers crossed, the Steelers going against the Buffalo Bills. And if the Steelers go, they're probably not going to beat the Buffalo Bills. Just keep it a buck. And again, like I said, I'm trying to be objective here. That's what I want to do. I'm being objective, not being a hater. Nobody tell me that I'm being a hater if you're a Steeler fan. I'm being objective. So those are the picks that I have going into Wild Card Weekend, like I said. Now, let's move on to the next topic. The next topic that I wanted to talk about was, once again, it has resolves in sports media. Talk about Joy Taylor. Talks about Manuel Ocho, Charlie Dixon, Executive Vice President at FS1, FS1 in general, and I Skip Bayless as well. And it is a lawsuit by one of the hairstylists. I believe the last name was Faraji, filing a lawsuit. And for those of you who haven't seen or heard about the lawsuit, you can look it up. So many people have videos on it already. I could look it up right now for you, but I kind of have an idea of what it is. I'm gonna just give you guys the cliff notes, more or less, and give you guys my opinion and my reaction on that. Basically, Joy Taylor, we'll start off with Joy Taylor. She is not looking good. Not looking good. She has potentially, and I truly do mean this. Like I said, I got female friends that are in sports media, that love sports media, and want to do this, and they do want to get into sports media in some capacity if they're not in there already. But I think Joy Taylor has quite literally set women in sports back 50, maybe 100 years. Maybe that's a little dramatic, but a lot. The allegations in the lawsuit are of her, apart from like being a little bit racist towards Faraji, who is a Persian woman, a Persian hairstylist who was working at FS1 from 2012 to I believe 2024. This past year, first 4 years she was there. From what we had heard, was part time, and then she went full time in 2016, where Joey Taylor finally joined. Um, Joined FS1 to be the moderator, if you guys remember, for Skip and Shannon's Undisputed. And apart from Joy Taylor being accused of allegedly being racist towards Raji, making fun of her accent and things like that, she really, I mean, in the lawsuit, it was based off of Faraji's interactions she's had with Joy of, I'm sorry, she was being accused of allegedly sleeping her way to the top, sleeping with Charlie Dixon and Emmanuel Ocho. And I have never, like, I thought that Shannon Sharp leaving Undisputed was like big news. I thought that Max Kellerman and that whole thing with Stephen A. Smith was kind of big news. This is bad. On all fronts, this is horrendously bad because it goes beyond something internal with FS1. Like, this is a big, big deal. We all know about the Me Too, and I'll explain to you why the Me Too movement has a place for this in here. Makes me look at Joy Taylor with a lot more. I don't respect it. But allegedly from this woman, Faraji, who is having a lawsuit against her, amongst others. She was a friend of Joy, had lunch with her many times, dinners, things like that over in Hollywood. And I'm from LA. I know a lot of these places are. I mean, a lot of these places aren't named, but I know what they mean by like West Hollywood, or they went like, I know what goes down in the whole West Hollywood scene because I've been there. And Joy Taylor basically is being allegedly accused of sleeping with Charlie Dixon to get prime shows on FS1. Emmanuel Ocho, and that one's a little bit even more obvious, I feel like, just because they've taken so many pictures together. There's images, images of Emmanuel like at Joy's house with his socks off. Y'all know what the socks off thing, what that means. And it all makes sense. And again, you could say I'm not here like coming up with all this out of the blue. Like, no, like people that used to work with them are not surprised either, and they've heard, or they put two and two together. And the reason why that's a big deal, apart from the fact that, I mean, it's the integrity of it is just gone and just shot, and so much like we'll get into that stuff right now. Joy Taylor is somebody who has, we've all seen the video where she's talking about, oh, let's be honest, if they're fine enough, if they're good looking enough, they got the finances. We've seen those videos, and she's been on countless, I don't know how many podcasts talking about, well, women, if they have, women only have, women struggle to get into the industry like men do because we got to do half the work and double the work, or whatever the case may be. Basically being an advocate for women, especially women of color, getting into the industry and being taken seriously. Well, how do you think this makes you look? Especially if this turns out to be true. And there's a lot of reason to believe that it's true, especially when it comes to Joy Taylor, because at that time, before we knew anything, I was a big fan of Undisputed. I was a big fan of a lot of the things FS1 was doing with Colin Cowherd, things of that nature, and I was a big fan of a lot of their talent. And it was widely known that Joy Taylor was married. I forgot who she was married to, but he was a former basketball player and former basketball coach. And I don't know if it was him specifically, though, but she was married at one point, and they divorced because, and this you could look up, he had found enough evidence in his eyes of an inappropriate romantic relationship type thing going on with her and Charlie Dixon, the executive vice president for talent at FS1. And they got divorced. Like, that's a known thing. Like, Joy Taylor is not married right now. So that is an indicator that they are not, that these allegations might really be true. And if they do, it's gonna make her look really bad. And if you watch, I don't watch Speak. I don't think it's a good show. I think it's pretty boring. A lot of these people have whack takes. Paul Pierce, fuck Paul Pierce. I don't like Paul Pierce. I hope I never want to meet him. I don't want to know. Michael Irvin, I love Michael Irvin and I love Keyshawn Johnson, but Keyshawn's show that he does, his podcast, I like that. That's what I like listening to. But on Speak, I think it's one of the lamest shows in sports television. I don't care what the ratings say. I just find it boring. And I don't think that, me personally, I never really liked Joy's takes. I just don't. And now that all this information is coming out about her not really being experienced in sports media, on sports television, it kind of makes sense. You know, she did a little bit of radio, but she's really a bartender back in Miami. That is something that is also reported and something that you can also look up. So, on top, what I was gonna say is one of the things that I've noticed, because now my algorithm is just nothing but all of this stuff going on my TikTok and social media. And now all of a sudden she's fully covered up. Anybody that watches, has seen Joy Taylor on TV or seen her on Speak, she loves to show cleavage. She loves to be very revealing. That's just what she does. And it's made probably a way for her and the show to drive up the ratings. Now all of a sudden she want to be covered up. I mean, everything is just pointing in the direction that all these allegations are true. And we haven't even gotten to the other ones yet. Now, for Skip Bayless, so one of the things about Skip Bayless, really this is the other big news about it, is Skip Bayless being accused of offering Faraji $1.5 million in exchange to sleep with him. And that in itself is absolutely bonkers crazy, like absolutely bonkers. I don't even know where to begin with that. I think it's pretty, I mean, honestly, and I will say this, Skip's been avoiding it. He still does a show where he talks about sports, like if this isn't lingering in the background. But it kind of is, I mean, to me, doesn't it make sense that now this is happening after he left FS1? To me, it all kind of makes sense now. It really does. Like all of a sudden, it's January he left. I forgot exactly when he left, but he left in 2024. I think he maybe saw something coming down the pipeline and then dipped. I don't know if this is true or not. I hope we find out very soon if these things were true and see what happens. But FS1 is in deep, deep shit, especially the higher ups. Now let's go to Charlie Dixon. Charlie Dixon is one of the ones that's going to be, that's just, yeah. that's gonna be a bad. Charlie Dixon was accused allegedly in some of these lawsuits for, you know, grabbing Faraji's behind, some other things, and obviously some other things as well, and for sure, again, alleged to been having a sexual relationship with Joy Taylor, bringing her on, allowing her to go on different shows and whatnot. And the fact that this is a executive vice president doing all this, getting accused of this. Again, we went through the whole Me Too movement, and, you know, rightfully so, we had many people speak up about things that happened, and it allowed people to be very, very free about everything that happened to them, especially women. And it exposed a lot of people, and it kind of feels like it's the same thing again. And when you see him, you guys can look up a photo. Charlie Dixon, FS1. This dude looks like a total sleazebag. He totally looks like a sleaze. He doesn't look. Joy Taylor talk about if they're fine enough. He don't. Being objective, he don't. I mean, I don't think that's what she meant, but that's what she talked about. Funny enough, he's funny looking. But I mean, he had the power and he had the finances, and Joy Taylor was willing to use her body to get to the top, and that's what she did. You know, some people are cool with this, some people don't care, whatever. I'm just saying, like, it just looks so bad. It looks so bad. And then you got Emmanuel Acho, who was accused of also sleeping with Joy Taylor and then bringing her on to the show, and that's how she got a primary show on originally Speak for Yourself, which is now Speak. And I would not be surprised if that was the case. He also deleted a video that he made a long time ago when he was basically glazing her, talking about how, he's so proud of her and this and that, and she is a woman. And He deleted that. That in itself, right there, if that isn't telling you what you need to know about the allegations about him. Oh, mind you, by the way, he did limit his comment section on all of his Instagram posts. So that's also further evidence that this looks like it could be true. I don't know what FS1 is going to do, but these are my final thoughts on this whole situation. It's much easier said than done. I can say that I'm genuinely not surprised by either of these parties, either of them, men or women. I'm not surprised. I have heard countless stories like this from mentors that have been in the industry for a very long time. Joy ain't the first one. Emmanuel ain't the first one. Charlie Dixon is just another one of those sleaze bags. The Skip Bayless one just completely like throws me for a loop. I can't believe it. But for anybody anybody watching this, anybody that watches this or is watching this, or cares to watch this, if any of my female friends, you guys know who you are, that are watching this, just please be careful. I can't obviously control what anybody does. I can't control what you do. Just please be careful. Don't ever fall to anything like this. I never want to see anybody that I care about and I'm still friends with and that I work with ever put in a situation like this. I could imagine it's just obviously image tainting, reputation tainting, and like I said, this isn't just like some like drama, like this isn't like the Udoka situation with the Boston Celtics. It ain't something like that where it's just like, yeah, dude, allegedly he slept with his boss's wife. No, this is pretty bad. This is a lawsuit. These are some serious allegations. Again, you guys could go ahead and watch. There's so many videos out there, but you guys could also look up the lawsuit. It's 42 pages long. There's a lot of things involving, groping, inappropriate sexual passes towards Faraji. Like I said, a little bit of racism, her spilling the tea on all of these things like Joy Taylor and Emmanuel Acho and Joy Taylor and Charlie Dixon and her sleeping her way to the top, basically. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm just keeping it a buck. This is my channel, and there's nothing that I can say. I'm not going to get in trouble for saying anything. It's just my opinion. It's what this platform on YouTube is for. But just, yeah, once going back to all my female friends, my female coworkers, future coworkers, current coworkers, past coworkers, just please be careful. It's not a good sight. You might think that I promise you, what's done in the dark will come to light. What is done in the dark will, in fact, come to light. So, just be careful. Like I said, these are some, again, quite serious allegations that are going on here. I never want anybody that I know or care about or work with to be put in a situation like this. I definitely don't want to see any men that in the future that I work with or work with now. Not that I do, or not that I suspect any of that. I don't think I'm fortunate that I don't have any experience with any people like that. However, it's obviously a real thing, and it happens a lot. So I also hope nobody in general is on any side of these fences in the future. It's not worth it, and it's just, quite honestly, it's tarnishing on your legacy, your career, everything that you've said, everything you've worked for. It's going to be tarnishing for Joy Taylor, for example. Again, she talked a lot of shit. When I say talked a lot of shit, I don't mean like she was talking shit. I mean just like talking about, well, for us women, it's hard to get into the sports industry because you have to do twice as much work as the man and even 3 times as much. Like now people are going to go back and look at all these clips and be like, no, all you had to do is just sleep with all these people to get the job. If this comes out true, you could say I'm being whatever. That is exactly what's going to be said. And it's fair enough. If it ends up being a fact that she did that and they prove it and everything comes to light, it's just stating the facts. But the fact right now is that it's an allegation. So if it does become true, and people are already doing it right now, but if it does become true, that is what is going to be said about her. She slept her way to the top. She didn't earn it. She didn't earn it as somebody who worked hard like she said she did. She didn't earn it as somebody who put in the time. No, she did it by sleeping with many people. And I have a feeling that this is going to only get worse for FS1. I have a feeling it's going to get worse for Emmanuel Acho. I sure as hell hope it gets worse for Charlie Dixon because, I mean, he's just the type of person that I just don't like and I'm not a fan of. And I don't care that I'm saying that. I don't know him personally. I don't want to know him personally. I don't need to know him personally. So, that's my take on it. I hope he gets fired. And I hope he gets reprimanded for some of the shit that he did. So, we'll see what happens as far as that. And nobody's really a big fan. I don't really know too many people that are a big fan of Emmanuel Acho. I'm not one of them. I don't like Emmanuel. And I'm not even talking about these allegations. I'm just talking in general. I don't like him I don't think he gives good sports takes. I don't like him as a sports analyst. Nothing about him that I like. And I'm just keeping it a buck. But the fact that he's all caught up in this, I mean, he just comes off fake to me. He's always came off like a fake dude. And this kind of makes sense now. Like I said, it all makes sense. So those are my takes on everything. As my message to anybody out there, men or women in general. I know it's mainly for a lot of my women friends out there, my homegirls that are in sports media. Just be careful. Don't ever get. Don't ever get involved. Let alone don't get caught. Don't get involved. Don't earn your way respectively with integrity because eventually that shit gonna come out to the light. So I've worked with many people, many women as well, who I can say from personal experience get their shit done professionally, get their shit done with work ethic and with real integrity and really down to the nitty gritty that don't want or don't need or are looking to find their way to the top like that in anything that they do. So kudos, respect, much love to all of you guys that do that. Same thing for the men as well. All my homeboys back home, anybody that I work with now, we are all. I mean, if I work with you now, I know because I see it every single day. You got y'all busting tails and busting your asses of getting work done, doing it the right way, the ethical way, and with integrity and respect, not just for yourselves but others. So that's kind of my 2 cents. Kind of a big story I thought was worth talking about. But yeah, just absolutely crazy, absolutely bonkers. And again, it is only going to get worse, which is the worst part. No pun intended, but it's the worst part. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see what happens with FS1 because they're going to be pressured in letting go Emmanuel Acho, Joy Taylor, Charlie Dixon. Skip Bayless is gone, whatever. I just want to see what they're going to do after this because it's just all downright bad. This is not something, and the Udoka thing was a pretty big thing too. But the problem is that Udoka was more like in-house, like two consenting adults doing something that they shouldn't have. This is it's just so bad. It's so bad. So anyways, I invite you guys to go ahead and check out that lawsuit, all 42 pages. If you guys want to read it in really detail. Many videos out there that are talking about it right now, including Marcellus Wiley, who was obviously used to work at FS1. He provides a lot of good insight as far as this whole situation. But that's gonna be it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining. Once again, appreciate you guys. Leave a like, comment down what you guys think about the whole situation, or you guys can comment about my NFL playoff bracket, my predictions, my picks, scores. But yeah, also subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe to my channel. This is The Read Step, and I am your host, Isaiah Ruiz.